It is Sunday evening. That means it's time for another live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast. We got episode 59 coming your way as we get closer and closer to Christmas time and the end of the year. Let's go ahead and get this one in the books and talk about all things Auburn right now. War Eagle Auburn family, War Eagle E2C Network family, thank you so much for joining us. Whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on the replay, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all the things that ways you can find the show. I don't know if it's on Instagram Live. I don't think it is. However you got here, whatever you got here, we appreciate you being here. I'm Kyle. That's Austin. Over this side, I guess I should nod my head. The whole mirroring effect of this live streaming thing, it always gets me, and I never get used to it. But welcome back, Austin.
Thank you. Good to be here. Merry Christmas to our viewers, listeners, all the like. It's been a good week. Hope it's been a good week for you too, friend.
So it's okay with you now if we officially acknowledge that it is the Christmas season?
What are you talking about?
Because remember, you gave me crap several episodes ago because I had started putting up Christmas in my house.
Oh, before Thanksgiving, you mean?
No.
December 10th, before Thanksgiving.
It may or may not have been before Thanksgiving. It may have been days after Halloween, pretty much. I mean, what's wrong with a little Christmas joy coming a little bit early each year? I mean,
well, yeah.
If you do it to the level that I do it every single year, you do all that effort and you don't get to enjoy it for enough time. So frankly, I think,
I just want to make sure that we all just don't dilute the spirit of Christmas and value it. It's like we say with Auburn football, you get too excited about it, and next thing you know, it's just gone. You got to treasure the time that it is, and the minimal time we have of it is special because of that. So
I just like to extend it out as much as I can. Yeah, I know that's just me.
So does my wife.
Okay. Well, at least I know that I've got someone in the Scott household that thinks like I do. And so if she wants to come spend her and the boys over here with me and Jessica and enjoy literally the Christmas house, except for tonight because of all the rain, I don't have all my lights on outside. But you can't see it on this shot, but we got Christmas lights up in here. Let's see if I can do it without knocking something over. It's going to fall over. Oh no. We got Auburn Santa right here.
There he is.
Yeah, so he'll be in the back shot as I knocked over the Christmas plaque that I'm now going to pull subtly out of the way. A lot going on in the background right here right now. 2 shows left in the year, and I'm just falling apart, man.
Look, we're just reeling this thing in, coming in on 2 wheels, doing what we can. So
we certainly are. We will start recording here in about 2 or 3 minutes. We have time for comments and questions if you've got any to start off the show. Remember, I will be staying a little bit after we get done recording to just hang out with y'all for a little bit, so you can do that as well. But right now, you can start off by smashing the like button. Do that with the thumbs. Oh, see, look!
we did it.
It did it. I have no clue what actually
makes it work. That's the first time
I've
ever seen that.
But see, now I actually have someone here with me who saw proof. Like the viewers have seen it, but like there's no one actually experienced it with it in real time.
That was impressive.
I don't know.
Now I really want to do it.
There's like something like I did this one time and it did it. I don't know. It's really weird. Oh, let's see if that does anything. Like throw snot onto
before I could get it.
We are literally falling apart. Smash the like button. Post where you're watching from with a War Eagle, whether you're live or on the replay, but especially if you're live right now, it helps get the show out to different people. We'd love to know who's here hanging out with us tonight, especially if you got any topics out there. If you're interested in recruiting, we're not going to do a full segment on that, but obviously we've got some transfer portal news that just broke a few hours ago. So we'll mention that at the very least. I know that's prominent on a lot of people's minds. I get the feeling, just briefly, Austin, we don't have to go too into detail on it, that this is going to be a quieter transfer portal by far season for Auburn football. When you compare it to last year, of course it's going to be, but like, I don't know. I feel like people are building themselves up for what's going to be like a smaller transfer portal cycle for Auburn. Am I off base there?
No, I think you're right, which is kind of ironic given that the transfer portal has just gotten bigger and bigger this year as the years have gone by. I think probably to dumb it down, the biggest reason for that is just it doesn't seem like Auburn's really in the market for a quarterback. this time around, and that's going to get the biggest headlines.
Yeah.
And that's good, right? Like we should be happy about that if the coaching staff is happy with Peyton Thorne and the direction it can go and building the offense around him instead of just trying to upgrade everywhere. Or upgrade at one position.
Yep.
So I think that's good, and we should be excited about that. But it also shows that there's a lot that's going well in the high school recruiting world too, and seeing where guys can plug in kind of quickly.
Yes.
So pros and cons to both, but I think Auburn's probably not as active or as what's the word, vibrant on the transfer portal this go round, which is totally fine with me.
Absolutely. Got a lot of great folks checking in. We got Neil, Linda, Corey, all here so far, at least in the chat right now. Thank you guys for being here. We're going to give prayers up for Corey. He's got surgery on his shoulder coming up. Hope that goes well. Obviously not a fun time of year to be having to go through surgery, but prayers up for you, sir, as you deal with that right now. Linda's asking, did I go to the basketball game? I did not. It is just not one of those seasons where I'm able to do a lot of the things I normally do. And I hated it because, wow, what a game. We're going to talk about that in the segment. And that would have been a fun atmosphere. But I will submit to you, I went last year and we were duds. So maybe I'm the reason.
Same. Well, I feel like you and I usually, which we never link up, but we usually are at the Holiday Hoops giving games. And we both did not go this year.
It's a great event.
That might tell you how well the team did. That might tell an indication. So
I will say that it does seem when I go with the Tigers on the road, they lose. I mean, we lost the series when I went to the Auburn UCF baseball series several years ago. I haven't been to a winning bowl game. Well, no,
I haven't.
I don't think I went into a winning bowl game yet. I can't really think of a neutral site or an away game that I've been to other than the championship year in my senior year that I've been to.
Did you go to the first round of the NCAA tournament this year?
I did. So, I guess
there you go.
Broke the curve a little bit with Iowa. That was a fun one. Thankfully, I didn't spend the money to get into the second game, which was very frustrating.
I have not seen definitely Auburn football because I count this up every time I think about going to a away game. I haven't seen the Auburn football road win since 2016, and I've only been to a handful of road basketball games. The track record is not great.
Few and far between right now. And of course, maybe we may have some correlation to that. So as Linda said, we probably should just stay home. It's cheaper and maybe the team has more success. So we should at least think about that and consider that for the future. We are at 8 minutes right now. We're going to get our show started. Here's how it's going to go down for those of you that are new, maybe watching for the first time. We're about to record a 30-minute-ish show with 3 10-minute-ish segments. Ish is the big emphasis there. We do have a sponsor again for our podcast. You will hear from Magic Mind again after our first segment. So please do check them out. Link in the description and support us by supporting them. Other than that, if Austin is ready to go, we'll get this thing in the books.
Let's do it.
In 3, 2, 1. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it, you can talk about it, discuss it through a variety of different topics, people, places, things, times, events. But at its heart, at its core, the Auburn experience is all about its sports, its culture, and of course, the Auburn family. Since it's about family, let's get some of these family members in here to discuss this experience. I am your host again, Kyle Loomis, alongside me, co-host, Mr. Austin Scott, back in seat number 2. Welcome back, Austin Scott.
Thank you. War Eagle to you, Kyle. Glad to be back with the Auburn family. Glad to be back with you. Hope you've had a great week, and it's good to be back. We got plenty to talk about on our Brodarious Ham episode.
There it is. I was wondering if you're going to do that one, bro. What a name. Can we just put that in the Hall of Fame of names, not just in Auburn, but ever? Just Brodarious Ham in the Hall of Fame.
A huge name, a huge person, and a guy who went through a lot on his time on the plane. So super glad to have Brodarious Ham as our episode 59. There really weren't a lot of options, but for there to only be one option, Brodarious Ham is a pretty good one.
There are certain numbers I've been watching come up on our episode count where I was like, Austin is just going to have a tough time. 59 was one of those. I was like, that's not looking real good, because you just don't think of number 59, but forever you can associate that name with that number and be in the safe category there.
That's right.
So,
we're getting closer and closer to safer numbers. It's going to be well into the new year, but we're getting closer. We're closer than we were.
Well, I was going to do some quick math, and you're going to show how well that Auburn degree is being put to use real quick. So that would put you, if you want to get to the 80s, is what I think you're talking about. You're still 20 episodes in. That'll get us about May, maybe, I think, something like that.
Yeah. Because if we go, you take into account holidays, probably your different things that come up. Yeah, that's about 5 months. Oh my goodness.
Yes. Time's going to fly though. So we'll be there before you know it. Plenty of things to talk about this week. Normally we start off with Auburn potpourri. We will do that this week. We're going to hit a bunch of small topics here that we won't spend a lot of time on, but let's mention this right off the top. The portal. My goodness. Can we talk about the portal some more? All the mysticalness out there. Are we going to get a quarterback? Are we going to get That's the number one question that you get from people that are just popping in for a second on live streams and stuff. What are we going to do about a quarterback? Guys, we may have a quarterback. We may be okay. There may be opportunities for other quarterbacks out there, but despite all that, Auburn has officially begun its additions, not just subtractions, by the transfer portal. Today, this Sunday evening when we're recording this, they have picked up their first transfer portal for 2024 wide receiver out of Georgia State. And his name slipping my mind right now. Help me.
Robert Lewis.
Thank you. I couldn't put it right there in my head for a second. Robert Lewis seems to be like on your typical standard size, not a big, tall guy. Haven't done a lot of research about him yet. A lot of people are associating this as bringing in, replacing some of that depth that has been lost. And I think everybody's assuming that really stud group of young guys are going to be ones that take center stage next year, with maybe a few holdovers from this last year. But quick thoughts from you about our first transfer portal guy, at least edition wise, for Auburn football.
Yeah, first transfer portal edition for Auburn. I think it's in a position group that you were hoping Auburn would emphasize in the transfer portal. Would that be receivers, offensive line? The first one's a receiver and a speedy guy from Georgia State. I think he's about 5'11". A lot of comparisons to a similar skill set of like Javarius Johnson, a guy Auburn's utilized well, played really well at the Iron Bowl, and whether number 6 stays or goes, this is someone who can fit into that slot receiver position. So Auburn targeted him early. They got him on campus, and it sounds like they didn't let him leave until he was going to be an Auburn Tiger. So really good, quick study of him, and quick to get him on campus and get him signed. So excited about that. Excited to see where they keep going. I think you're going to probably see some more movement in the receiver room still. And like Kyle said, with guys in the transfer portal and coupling that with some guys from the high school ranks and those maybe that still aren't even committed yet, those are some things that Auburn wants to see improve. So we'll have to see. The transfer portal has got visits feeling like it could be any day of the week. We've got guys in town from all over, some enjoying some nice pancakes, Kyle, from Stacks downtown.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Let's transition to that, because I have reviewed Stacks. Now you have to review Stacks in downtown Auburn for your first time trying this. Let me know what you thought about it.
Yeah, Emily and I finally made it over there. We took the boys, and it was kind of a last minute thing. It was Saturday morning, and we were wanting to go to breakfast, and I just completely forgotten about Stacks, because we've been as you talked about, we've been times it's been just packed out the door. But it was into finals. It was graduation morning. Town had already kind of
cleared out,
gotten a little quieter. And so it was a perfect storm, and we ended up over there. Let me think. Emily had just 2 straight normal pancakes. And they were fluffy and big and good.
Yes.
It was a graduation menu. I need to go ahead and clarify and say that, so that things like it, I don't think there was a lot off of it that's on the normal menu, but there were definitely some things missing, more brunch items, I think.
Okay.
And then I got the pancake of the month which if you offer me anything apples and cinnamon, I'm doing it. And that
Oh,
was the apples and cinnamon pancakes. They were delicious, way too much sugar. I don't even want to know how many calories it was. But we also got the Kaneka dogs,
oh man.
as recommended by Mr. Loomis, and they did not disappoint.
Oh,
She I can't remember, it said Kaneka dogs on the menu, and for those who don't know what I'm talking about, we discussed this last week. It's Kaneka sausage, deep fried in pancake batter on a stick. And
with dipping syrup too as
with
well.
dipping syrup, but I didn't know this either. You order and then you go sit down and you wait for them to bring it to you. I
Yep.
thought it was full waiter service, which I like. I'm glad it's more casual that way. But they came over and she said, I didn't remember that you had said it was on a stick. I thought it was just kind of handheld. And she came over. She said, "I've got some Kaneka corn dogs." And I was like, "Yeah, that's got to be us." And so, man, it was great. Like a top notch place. Great addition to Auburn. It was busy, but not, out the door. And yes, it was definitely a place for the recruits,
Yes.
and Trevon Reed to hang out in the morning. Um, awesome place. Really loved it. Can't wait to go back and try some different things.
Oh man, we have not stopped talking about it over here. So
Yeah.
once again, Stacks, you're welcome for the free advertising for you. But man, if you'll knock my socks off with some Kaneka dog, pancake dogs like that, you can get all the mentions on the show that you want. So I'm really happy that you finally got over there because we really try to spread out and not just go to the staples all the time, but talk about all the little different things you can experience in Auburn food wise, because that's part of the Auburn experience too. Let's talk about something that is Auburn related, but it's a little bit of a stretch because this coach has not been here forever. But the news this week, Coach Cliff Ellis, formerly now, currently, at least this year he was, of the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, but formerly
Oh.
one of the best and most winningest coaches for Auburn men's basketball. Coach Cliff Ellis has retired officially for the year. Honestly, I kind of thought he had already retired. But that just goes to show you how, well he's done as a coach. I think it's 49 years that he why wouldn't you just wait till 50? I mean, it must have been like,
Yeah.
I'm tired. Like if you can't
Oh,
make
yeah.
it to 50 and just, you would be like celebrated on so many levels the next season. If you just kind of said, this is my last season 50, then I'm heading to the house. So I can imagine. I think he even said in his press conference about his retirement that what really kind of led him to the decision was just the transfer portal, the NIL stuff has just really made things difficult on a whole new level on all sports, but it's even men's basketball. But the official news, Coach Cliff Ellis, one of my favorite coaches because I grew up watching him as a kid, as the head coach of the Auburn men's basketball team, and right now, third on the list. Yeah, that'd be right. So it'd be Coach Sonny Smith, Cliff Ellis. I think I've got that right. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think that's correct. Yep.
Bruce Pearl, and then Joel Eves, I think is who it is. Maybe I have that a little bit out of whack, but I'm pretty sure he just passed Cliff Ellis on that list. But regardless, he's retired. Thoughts on a legendary coach for Auburn retiring?
Yeah, the legendary at Auburn, legendary in the sport of college basketball. I think he was the active, most winningest head coach there is. So him to retire, and I didn't quite realize he had retired like immediately. I thought he was saying, "Okay, at the end of this year, I'm
He
retiring."
said,
He
"Peace,
said,
I'm out."
"I'm done. I'm gonna be." I think I read he's gonna stay on around the school and work on some projects until his contract is over. But
Right.
yeah, he's calling it quits, and it's hard to blame him for a guy his age and a guy who's seen a lot of college basketball change. The NIL and the transfer portal, it seems like maybe one too many hurdles to want to figure out how to clear it at this
Right.
stage of his coaching career and his life. Kind of hoping that's the same for a coach across the state. But anyway, it was awesome. I was at the game when Bruce and Auburn welcomed him back as the head coach of Coastal Carolina and played them. I thought that was really cool to get for Bruce to respect him as his success at Auburn and bring him back. He was very warmly welcomed and received.
Yeah.
And that was just a few years ago. So that's really cool. Good for him. Excited for him and his family. And hopefully, it's not rare that former Auburn coaches end up showing back around this town. So hopefully we get to see a little more of him over the next few years.
Yeah, obviously Sonny Smith has stuck around. Joe Champius stuck around. Several, I mean, former football coaches who aren't so recent and don't have great standing with the fan base. But Gene Chizik, Tommy Tuberville's been back. Gus Malzahn, I feel like, will eventually be back when he's done and hung the clipboard up or the
Ryan Hart. No, he probably won't.
well, settle down now. Hold on. There's one person I think that will never ever be welcomed back. It is probably Brian Harsin. Now, I'm not advocating the mistreatment or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, I just don't see that happening on either side in the future.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah,
Unless we get some blue turf and potatoes around here, I don't think that's happening.
I don't think you could wish upon a star and make that happen. I mean, it is just done. That relationship just doesn't exist anymore from this point forward.
Yeah.
To wrap up potpourri, some things we didn't have time to hit here, but we're aware of and we'll probably be discussing later. There's been a big push for KJ Bolden to flip from Florida State to Auburn in the 2024 class. The Auburn-Georgia matchup has been announced for October 5th next year. The schedules will be released coming up soon here, so we'll be discussing that too. And of course, want to give you a reminder here for stuff at E2C Network for podcasts. No Huddle and War Horses are in their off-season part of their shows for the season, so they will not be as regular until War Horses get kicked back up in the spring when they're back in action with Equestrian. But No Huddle will be having episodes come out as they can bring them up to you, obviously with bowl matchups and recruiting and things like that. So that's what you can anticipate here. That's what we've got with you for potpourri. We're going to move into our big discussion topics right now. But first, I want to talk to you about a couple things here. Well, one thing in particular, something real quick as a content creator, something that you probably as a audience member need to think about. The word energy. Obviously, where do we get it from? What's the best source of it? And one of those things that we really need to survive being an Auburn fan, this roller coaster ride that we're on. There's energy shots out there. It's a lot of you can think of them with the big names out there right now. But something they all have in common or seem to have in common is they're not really that great for our overall health, at least most of them out there. Well, I got a better option for you right now. And those are from our friends at Magic Mind. After personally trying Magic Mind, I can attest to their claim of being true of defeating burnout, but also elevating your mental health. Magic Mind gives you the benefits of all those energy alternatives out there, such as mental focus, making you more productive, but the prolonged and healthy natural way of doing so. Magic Mind has all natural ingredients, as well as being sugar-free and nut-free for those of you that have those allergies. And if you're on those keto, paleo, vegan diets, this is good for you as well. I know plenty of you are looking out there for a energy alternative. Now you have it. Visit magicmind.com/Auburn podcast and use code Auburn20. That'll get you 56% off a subscription or 20% off of a one-time purchase. If you're not convinced, let me tell you real quick about a family member who is diagnosed with ADHD. Their personal claim after trying Magic Mind alongside me, they said that they felt like they got the energy and focus that they needed without having the aggravation of some of their symptoms that they deal with on a daily basis, which sometimes come with those alternative products out there. If you're ready to give it a try, why not go ahead and do so? Visit magicmind.com/Auburn podcast. That's magicmind/Auburn podcast with code Auburn20 for 56% off, or that 20% off a one-time purchase. Our first major topic tonight, Austin, we're going to talk about basketball. Football is not over, but we've moved into we have to talk about it every single week in so much great detail. Basketball season. Shooty hoops. We are here, my friend. I am so, and we're coming off an amazing win in holiday hoops giving over the Indiana Hoosiers. So we're probably going to focus on that because that's the most prevalent thing right now as we're recording this evening. But my goodness, it's been a pretty good start to the season thus far. So before we maybe talk about the game, I think other than an App State loss, which a lot of people I don't think understand how good that team is, I think this team is really turning some heads about how good they could be this season.
Yeah, no, like you said, 2 losses on the year. Won the first game of the year against Baylor on a neutral site, a game Auburn was in. We talked about pretty heavily. But a Baylor team that's very, very, very good. And then the App State loss last week on the road, a contender that will be deep into their conference tournament and of their own right. And by the way, they stormed the court against beating Auburn. Let's not forget that they stormed the court on beating Auburn. I'm not sure I still believe that. That happened in the year 2023 of our Lord.
But believe it though, because Auburn's
Yeah.
risen to that level at this point.
Yes, absolutely. It's legitimate. It's just hard to fathom, even a few years ago. But yeah, only 2 losses. Both ones you could probably say could have been wins too. A smattering of good wins in there. A tournament win up in Brooklyn. So it's definitely off to a good start. There's plenty of non-conference opportunities that will continue to test this team before SEC play. I think you're still seeing this coaching staff figure out who fits where on the field and which rotations are going to work out the best. Even yesterday, you saw Dylan Cardwell and Janai Broom on the floor at the same time. There are still plenty of opportunities for this team. I think it's a really unselfish team in terms of who needs to have the ball, who's the hot hand, who needs to take the shot.
Yep.
But you have multiple personalities who are willing to be able to be the guy on any given night. It just depends on who's shooting well.
Taking off what you were saying about like this team being so versatile among who needs to be the guy, when, and where. Let me remind you folks that weren't on our reaction stream. Janai Broom had 2 points last night. This is the guy that had 30 last game, 2 points. And we smoked Indiana, 2 points, arguably our best player on the team. And look what happened. You had a lot of people contribute. I think it was 6 different players in double digits last night. So to your point, Austin, if you think Auburn is defined by how well Janai Broom goes, you're wrong. And that was against a great program and a good team last night in Indiana. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I don't think I realized Janai Broom only had 2 points. But I mean, when you've got a freshman in Aiden Holloway, who I think people have been kind of saying, "What's going on? Let's get together," and him and Jalen Williams are your leading scorers in a game yesterday. It's impressive. And then you see what KD Johnson did in his city, being able to make things happen and be the psycho he is, the good psycho in this
That was a
case,
good psycho.
for KD. It's impressive. It really, I think yesterday, and Coach Bruce Pearl said it best, that is beautiful basketball. That is, I think, probably as good as this team can be, dropping triple digits on a program like Indiana in a true neutral site game. It's impressive. So I think that's probably the ceiling for this team. And if that's the case, then it's going to be a special year for them.
We'll come back maybe to round out our topic about like outlook for the team. What does the record show us, how they performed in each of these games thus far? Tell us about what's going to be coming up, maybe for Auburn. Speculate a little bit, but let's hone in on this holiday hoops giving event, the game, the magnitude of it. First thing I want to talk about, there's a concept of blue bloods out there. You think of Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, Auburn, but Indiana gets thrown in that, even though they have no shade of blue anywhere in there, because they're that storied of a program. They're part of that conversation. And we as fans build that up in our head. But what's interesting to me is that even Auburn's media team made this big media push on social media about Bruce talking about the significance for him personally of playing Indiana, what it would mean to get a win. And I kind of felt like I was a little nervous, like we're building this thing up. We don't get the win here, it's going to look bad. But thankfully we did. But it does mean a lot. Like when you knock down another one of those pillars, right? You beat North Carolina, you beat Kentucky, I think 6 times at this point. You've beaten Kansas, haven't gotten Duke necessarily yet. We've gotten the opportunity to, but you beat all these teams, and Indiana's that next proof point that Auburn has attained something, not just in a moment of time, but with a same head coach. To me, this is like another one of those opportunities that Bruce Pearl has taken to really put his stamp on Auburn basketball, not just in wins, but in making sure that records fall, bad records, but also opportunities that arise, taking advantage of them fully. To me, I guess there is a little bit of hyperbole with trying to make this more than it is. It is one game in a season, but I don't know. For me personally, this is a huge moment for Auburn basketball.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And I remember even before this game was announced, Bruce teased it, I think, on one of their, I can't remember what they call them, but where they tour around, him and Hugh Freeze will both do it this offseason, tour around what do they call that?
Tiger Trek.
Is it Tiger Trek? Okay, that's where I wanted to go, but I wasn't sure if that was it.
Something like that.
That doesn't sound right, does it?
It doesn't sound right, but we'll go with it for now until someone
It's
corrects us.
something like that. But I remember him teasing it before Atlanta was ready to announce it and saying, "We have a really good game that's going to be announced, and it's going to be a great opportunity for our program." And it's true. Like, even though Indiana is probably more even with Auburn this
Right
year
now.
than with when they had Bobby Knight and the teams of old that were winning championships, it's still one of those things where it's like, oh, we're playing Indiana, like, and they a program that is a basketball school and has a fan base that loves basketball. On evidence of this past weekend when they packed out a place that's 5 states away from their home campus. I think you're right in saying it might be a little hyperbole, but it's something where it's like Auburn has moved up to that level. We talked about the court storming from Appalachian State and being like, that happened to Auburn. Well, it's the same thing. Auburn's playing Indiana and they won the game. That's something that's not even thinkable 10 years ago.
Right.
And so it's still exciting to see. I think, gotten this program to a place where he wants to be, I think he would tell you we're not to that level of
Right.
Indiana, Kentucky, North Carolina, Duke, Kansas, because that takes decades of success, right?
Right.
But that foundation is still being laid. And to be able to go and get those wins against those programs only proves your legitimacy more. I think he would love nothing more than for us to be playing these random non-conference games where it's the Champions Classic and it's a rotation of Duke, Michigan State, North Carolina, or next weekend when Kentucky plays North Carolina, just randomly on a December Saturday. Like, those are the kind of games that people tune in for because of the caliber of the programs. And I think Auburn's got a long way to go before they're there, but the foundation is being laid for that. And it's unbelievable. I think we talk a lot about Butch Thompson and the Auburn baseball program. It is hard to even imagine, probably because it's so fun and so fast, and we don't take a step back to reflect on it. It's hard to think about what Bruce Pearl's done with the basketball program. Like, when you really think about where this program was and has been for the better part of this century, it's crazy.
It's
And
crazy.
I will never get over talking about it because it is too fun not to.
The sad part about this, if he keeps knocking off these old records and opportunities, eventually he's going to run out of things. He's moving up the list in terms of wins as the head coach, and he'll be at the top of that if he keeps at this rate sooner rather than later. So obviously we're very happy about that. And it is surreal, but also it kind of feels right at this point. I feel like we paid our dues, and it's time for Auburn to rise to more prominence permanently in basketball.
Kyle, do you know? You mentioned this earlier, and I just wanted to look it up when we were talking about Coach Cliff Ellis. Do you know where he is on the Auburn winningest head coaches in basketball?
We can do some quick scrambling here to figure
I'm
that out.
aware. I'm just asking you.
Okay. You know. Well, I think if I remember correctly, Cliff Ellis is third on the list now.
That's correct. Do you know where Bruce Pearl is and how many he needs to get to the first?
He is at 2 because he just passed Cliff Ellis, and I think he is at. I think he can't pass it this year. I think he can pass it next year. Is that correct? So like 20.
If this is accurate, if this is up to date, he's at 192, and Joel Eves is at 208. So 17 wins. So like it's not as
it's plausible this year.
Think. Yeah.
Wow. This is why
that close.
This is why it's better to be good at math and actually use your Auburn education, Kyle. So you'd actually be prepared for these moments like this. But I didn't realize it was that close. That's incredible. But
I might make it before I hit the 80s on our episode.
Maybe so. I also want to mention the Holiday Hoops Giving event. I really hope we've done it 3 years in a row now. 4. I think this is the 4th year in a row because we did Memphis, Nebraska, Memphis, and now we played Indiana, obviously the biggest of all those. Nothing against Memphis. They're a great program, historic program too, but this was the biggest that we've done. I hope we do this one again and again and again, hopefully every year. And we start attracting the Indianas more often to come to Holiday Hoops Giving as a one-off neutral site event. Auburn people, you sounded great there once again. I usually go to this game, was not able to. So kudos. Hats off to the Atlanta Auburn Club for organizing that, but also just all of you that came out and supported the team. You show why we are the best little family. Well, we are the best little family within the Auburn Family, the E2C Network, but the Auburn family is just the best overall. To quickly round out our conversation on this, talking about what's happened and putting in perspective where this team is right now. This is a team that should have and had Baylor, one of the best teams in the nation, down and out, and just was not able to clamp down because of free throws. I'll say it again, free throws. They lost to a very good on-the-road App State team, which was basically their Super Bowl as per the way they acted. And they have, if I can remember correctly, they haven't really truly struggled with anybody else and took an Indiana team that is not a slouch historically and currently to the wood in Atlanta at neutral site games. To me, again, I want to be careful of hyperbole here, Austin, but I saw that team in the first game, and it's easy to feel that way. I'm very not quick to say things like this. I think we've got a great basketball team this year, and I think we can be surprisingly and scarily good for some people. Time will tell, but that's kind of what I'm feeling right now.
I'm with you, and I think the way when you look at the league and the SEC right now, there's a lot of question marks all over it, and I think there's a lot of people who would say it's all kind of even right now.
Right.
There's been some good losses or some bad losses and some good wins by just about everybody. And I think you can put Auburn up there. You and I have said before, this team, no one's really considering them to get the top 4 in the league and get that double bye in the SEC tournament. And I think they are more than capable if things start continue to fall the way they have. And this team's playing really well. They're going to have some more tests, including next week, but it's going to be a good one and a good season to go through.
If you want to put a fire on an Auburn sports team, just rank the preseason, rank them outside of nonsense, such as Alabama and things like that, especially in basketball. You might just find yourself with another Final Four team if you're not careful. Maybe that's what their strategy was with predicting that. You know, who knows? I don't know. Only time will tell, and we'll be talking about it all season. But let's move on to topic number 2 tonight. We're going to discuss Christmas because 2 weeks from this moment when we're recording on a Sunday evening.
Oh my gosh.
2 weeks. Hey, are you done? Are you done?
I don't know who's watching this. So
well, I was just, look, you got to get presents for the wife, for family members, for friends, all your dirty Santas or whatever the different names of that, a white elephant or whatever.
The E2C holiday party.
Can we call it white tiger? Because it's,
Yeah, there you go. He didn't even hear me.
The E2C holiday party. We haven't ever done so. We should. It's not going to be this year, folks. So if you're an E2C person watching this, we're not doing it this year, but we might have to do something like that in the future. That's a good idea. We're going to talk about Auburn Christmas stuff. We like to kind of round your experience out here. We're going to have some fun. This is one of those times that if you are an audio podcast listener, it is good to experience when you can the live video recording of the Auburn Experience podcast, because I'm going to bring up on screen right now. We're just going to go, and again, this is a screenshot of whatever I have on my computer. So any advertisements, things like that, I apologize. But for those of you on the audio, we're going to describe to the best of our ability, but we're going to have some fun shopping for Auburn stuff on Amazon, of all places. We're going to just do that for a little bit, talk about some of these items and stuff. This is we're not sponsored by Amazon. This is, I just said, you know what? From time to time, I was making my Christmas list, finalizing it for some people. And I was like, you know what? We need to talk about this, some things that we see up there. So right now on the screen, Austin, and for our viewers and for those listeners that we're going to, color commentate for here, we have got a Amazon Auburn store, and that you can actually just type in Auburn. It'll take you to the team store. Now there's not a ton of items here, but let's talk about a few of these things. I'm just doing a quick scroll through here and some things. What I thought, Austin, is I looked at this and I said, what's the one thing on this that I think Austin needs? The one thing that I think I should get for him if I was going to buy something for him. And I'm going to tell you right now, let me see if I can find it. I think I passed it already, but I'm going to make sure, is these right here. Amazing Auburn socks.
I was going to pick those for you.
Too bad. Too sad. Yeah. We are having a virtual Christmas party right now that we're spending no money. We're spending virtual money. That is my gift to you, sir. These amazing Auburn Christmas socks. And if you look at it in the right light, that front of the sock almost looks like a football, the way those diamonds are shaped. Maybe I'm just seeing what I want to see.
I love them. I would wear those too.
Are you a fun socks type of guy?
Yeah. I mean, I don't flaunt it. I like to have them, and then, sitting at school or in meetings when, you have to prop your leg up or whatever. And then it just shows a little bit of them. I like fun socks. I like to wear them to church a lot too.
I have an image of you walking into a meeting at work and just doing the businessman thing, propping your foot up on a chair and just showing them socks off now at this point. This is not a shock to family members that may be watching or listening to this. I am not a fun socks person. In fact, I'm adamant that people don't get them for me. So if you've gotten one for me this year, I will. Here's the thing, though.
It's a good thing you went first.
if some people get them for me this year, I will wear them. I'm a straight, straight white or straight black or gray socks. Like one color. I think
you were going with that.
I just don't like craziness in my socks.
Sure.
And I don't typically wear long socks, but you look like the type of guy, and I don't mean that in any way.
Fun socks. Yeah.
Fun socks. So I'm going to scroll through the list. What would you get for me here?
I got a quick idea. Not picking those socks.
Not the earrings.
Not the earrings. Good. Just go a little slower.
Okay. You find what you want in there, sir.
Now, time out. I don't know if we've talked about it. Are you a Lego person or not?
Do you not know me, sir?
I think you're a big Lego person.
Am I a Lego person currently? Not. Do I have Legos in my house? No. But if you go to my mom's house and look inside my closet, you will find Legos upon Legos upon Legos.
I knew we bonded over that. However, have you ever dealt with this little contraption right here? These little fake knockoff Legos?
The bricks things or whatever they're called, or what's the Duplo? Is that a kid's version of it?
Yeah, that's the big ones, like the really big ones.
That's what I need.
Bricks is the exact opposite. They're like minuscule.
Okay.
My dad and I have each put together the Jordan hair one. Oh man, it is rough. So I would not get that for you because you would lose even more hair. Let's keep moving up.
All right. So you want to keep
moving up. I don't really like the charger and desktop organizer for you. Definitely not socks.
Okay.
What are those, playing cards? No.
I've got some
earrings. I'm tempted by the grill set. I don't know if I'm going to go there. I don't know where you're at on the grill set.
Let me put it to you this way. We have done an E2C Network Auburn game tailgate, and I've actually brought my charcoal grill all the way to Auburn from my location. But it has currently been sitting in my garage for the last 2 years because I didn't clean it one time, and it has just rusted over. But I love the smell of grilling. And if you bought me those with the Auburn, so let me just paint the picture.
The spatula.
Thank you. I was wondering if you're going to bring that up. The tongs and then the spatula, as one of our favorite radio shows calls it, has an Auburn emblem, like I guess engraved into it. Oh, you totally know that I'm going to be like grilling and then like pressing that thing hard down so that the AU somehow gets in there. And then you have an AU burger. How awesome would that be?
That thing's pretty nice. I think the way I'm going to go is, and I saw them though, keep going up a little bit more, Look, I know this is going to be really basic.
Okay.
But this hat right here just looks like you, Kyle.
You're calling me basic?
No. Well, sort of.
Yeah, okay.
I think that it's because your E2C shirt is a similar color, this charcoal type, right?
Yeah.
I think it would match well. And I'm a big fan of, now I love me some blue and orange, but I like the Auburn apparel things that are not the same. Like not everyone has and doesn't look exactly like everyone else. And people go, "Oh, where'd you get that one? That's unique." So I'm tempted to go with this hat right here. What would you say if I gave you this hat right here? I know you are a man of, you like the hats you have, so it would take a big commitment.
I have a whole closet full of Auburn hats I've collected that I don't wear. So even if you got me a hat I didn't like, it would go into the collection. And listen, one day, big dreams and goals, the E2C Network studio get even bigger, and you may even see them like all displayed behind me or something like that.
Sure.
But there's a whole closet. I love it. I like very basic things, but I'll tell you where I'm kind of leaning these days on Auburn hats and hats in general is the trucker style hats with the mesh in the back.
Me too.
And then, there's this one that's been circulating around with the Eagle like the old school thing. But that is not if that's where you went in terms of you're going to get me something off of this list, that is probably a safe bet for you. So I'm going to get you a second thing here, though, Austin. Let me find you something here that I think that you need. And frankly, I think you need it right now. Do you know where I'm going?
Yes, I know exactly where
In
you're
fact,
going, and I
I
couldn't
think
agree
you
more.
need 2 of them.
I
I'm
do.
getting you dual Auburn kids full uniform. I had one
Yeah,
growing up. Those of
we're
you that
all in
don't
it.
know, Austin is the proud father of 2 twin boys who we are all going to raise up to be the next great Auburn linebackers or whatever, or centers if they get tall enough. Looking at Austin, that's probably not going to happen.
Not gonna happen.
But we're going to get you these for your 2 twin boys. What do you think?
Oh, I'm all in. When we pulled this up, I was eyeballing it, and I'm already like, okay, Emily, we need to make sure. Now, I don't. That says youth football costume, so it would, but it might be. They might be ready for next season with that. I mean, there's a good chance that we could get it small enough, and they'd be ready to go. Now, here's a good question for you, because as for our viewers, there's 2 options here. Obviously, the one with the pants is the one we're discussing, right?
Yes, of course. Come on.
And I'm guessing these are iron-on numbers here.
Yes, that's what it looks like.
I couldn't tell you what numbers I would choose for the boys.
Well, it wouldn't be 59. Well, maybe you do give them 59 if they're big enough to be a lineman, and that way you'd have a number 59 to talk about other than Brodarius Ham. So
The odds of linemen are not in their favor. But I mean,
I'm thinking Holder right now. Like, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think Mama would like that too. That's a little safer, not as much risk. But I mean, that is a great choice right there. And Kyle, you know what I saw a lot this season that I wish was on here, but it's probably homemade, is the drum major costume. Have you
Oh,
seen the kids
Austin.
dressed up in the drum major costume?
Yes.
Woo!
Yes. It's good stuff, man.
But
That is
that's a good one right there. That would make one Emily Scott very happy.
Yeah, but this is just something we wanted to do here, just to kind of see if we can guess each other's taste on what we would get. Pretty good, except for Austin thinking I like the fun socks, which,
Well,
I'm not knocking people for the fun socks. I'm just saying it's not my taste. And I agree with you about the Jordan Hare Lego bricks set. Like
yeah,
I would love a
that would
legit
drive
one
you
of that.
nuts.
It would absolutely drive me nuts, and I just don't know that I have the time or patience at this point in my life for
Yeah.
all of that.
Man, if they made one like real Legos, 1, it would sell like crazy.
Oh yeah.
And 2, that'd be awesome to have.
Well, it's just like whatever the conversation is,
you're right.
if you attach Auburn to it and give people a reason, the Auburn family a reason to flock to it. I don't care if it's semi-pro football. I don't care if it's The Bachelor. I don't care if it's Legos. They will buy it, but get a ticket for it, show up, travel for it, talk about it on social media, no matter what. If you want to sell something, if you want to make money, attach Auburn to it.
Yeah.
Just prints the money. So there you go.
That's why we're rich here off this E2C Network podcast.
So rich in the homemade studio and lighting and all that stuff. But that's our Auburn Christmas gift exchange, I guess, is what that kind of turned into.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, Kyle.
Merry Christmas.
Hope you enjoy your hat.
Maybe my hat. And I hope you enjoy your kids enjoy their uniforms, and you enjoy the crazy fun socks, which is probably the most basic Christmas gift that you can give anybody at this point. That's going to do it for episode 59. Thank you so much for tuning in with us here. And if you want to find me on social media, find me on X at Kyle Loomis 24. Where can they find you?
At Austin G. Scott. G is in great. Austin G. Scott. You can find me on X and Instagram.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Until we talk to you again, War Eagle and Merry Christmas.
War Eagle.
All right, folks, that's the show. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us this evening and spending some time with us. I will be hanging around to talk with you guys, but Austin, you can have the floor for final thoughts, comments, derogatory rebuttals for you.
Yeah, looking forward to next week. Is this our big year ender, Kyle?
Yeah, it'll be, because we will not do one for Christmas Eve. And I think
we could
both
have
of
a
us
candlelight podcast.
It feels a little sacrilegious.
It is.
Which
I almost didn't say that.
By the way, I have been meaning to have a private conversation with you first about something that's a little sacrilegious in the Auburn sphere, and I'm curious how you feel about it. And just do some thinking on it. You probably know where I'm going to go on that. But we'll talk about that off the air sometime. But yes, no Christmas Eve show, right? 99.9% sure there's no, what just happened? Why
Was
does
that peace? Was that?
does peace sign give balloons now?
How did we get to this episode and one we didn't even know existed?
Like, I'm doing every hand signal now to get anything now, and it's just not. I don't know how I would make it work. And it only seems to work on
I don't
you.
even know what you were asking me. No, probably not New Year's Eve. Maybe
It's
that's
like,
what it was. Did you say New Year's Eve?
no New Year's Eve show, because we will both. I know I will be on. I will not be here, but we could pull it off. But I just think it's going to be too logistic, and everybody wants to chill out. So, so next week we will be together, barring unforeseen circumstances, and we will talk about most likely kind of rounding out 2023 stuff, probably some transfer portal stuff, and I would imagine some Auburn football schedule news that's coming out this week. So look forward to next show. Tell a friend, and come join us for a big year ender show as we take it before we take a 2-week break. So, Mr. Scott, thank you for joining us. You are free,
Absolutely.
sir.
Looking forward to it. See you guys next week. War Eagle.
War Eagle. All right, folks, we now move into a time of our Wednesday night shows where you can just relax, chat along with me, and talk about some of the things that maybe we didn't discuss during the podcast record / anything that you'd like to expound upon. So I may go talk about some of the comments you guys made during the show. But yeah, if you've got anything that you'd like to kind of harp on or hit on here for the next few minutes, I can stay on for another 5 to 10 roughly. But if we're kind of reached the end of what I want to talk about, we can start winding down. But get that in right now. While you're getting your comments in, let me go ahead and give you the rundown of what to expect for this week. And that picture is becoming more clear as like I start getting into more of a routine these days. But right now, our next scheduled broadcast that we have for this week, the Auburn Family live stream, which will be Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern time, the 13th. Don't miss it. Call-in show. We will likely still be talking about the schedule announcements. I will probably actually, you know what? Let's do a little bit of workshopping live here on the show right now. We're going to look at SEC schedule releases for 2024. That is happening at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So what we will probably do, this is barring an unforeseen circumstance, we probably will do a short reaction live stream depending on when Auburn schedules come out, and then immediately do our call-in show after that. I know you guys will want to talk about that more. We're going to try to do a dedicated, quick live stream about the schedule when it gets officially released to the public. So that, the call-in show, and then, of course, a reaction stream for the basketball game, which is also on the 13th, which will, you know what? Now that I'm actually thinking about it, folks, we're going to not be able to do all three of those things. Actually, I think we probably could. We may just have to kind of finagle some things. Every once in a while, basketball throws a monkey wrench on my Wednesday nights. So everything I just said, scratch it. We will do a live stream definitely about the schedule release. We will do a live stream about the basketball game. We may just have to cancel the call-in part of it, everything on Wednesday night, because it's going to be crazy next week. We got transfer portal kicking up, recruiting's kicking up, schedule release. We got basketball. Who knows what else is going to go down next week, folks? Just saddle up is all I got to say. Corey said during our show that I needed a fedora. I have never once thought of myself as a fedora guy. So I don't know what that says about me that you think I am. Nothing against fedoras. Maybe it's because I'm bald or balding. So you can see it's getting really thin up there, as Austin pointed out to you. WT says that basketball game for Indiana was amazing. Guard play was the best I've seen in a while. And wasn't it great to see that in a night where Janai was basically negligible in terms of statistics? It was really great to see. Jalen showed what he's capable of in this game. Well, Jalen has showed what he's capable of a lot. Jalen is literally, and I've been using hyperbole a lot tonight, but he is, to me, the perfect basketball teammate / player. He is capable of doing things that he did stats wise last night. Was it last night? Yeah. but he is more valuable on what he does in game in and game out, and that is Jalen Williams things. Making your free throws, not committing a lot of turnovers, knocking down shots and defensive plays all in one. He is just a well-rounded, mild-mannered, great teammate, and you don't see that combo who's capable of being a all-star type of scorer guy. You just don't see that combo a lot, and that's why he's one of my favorite players. Jalen Williams is probably he is definitely in my top 5 all-time Auburn basketball players. I would argue he might be in 3 easily too. And that's saying a lot. And I probably have an unconventional list of favorite basketball players. They're going to be very, heavy on the ones that I've seen and experienced in my lifetime. Charles is an easy answer there because it's Charles. But, I've got a really strong affinity to the late 90s, early 2000s, the Kyle Davises, Lewis Monroe's, Marco Killingsworth, Chris Porter's, Mamadou Njai, Damian Fishbag. I'd probably throw Damian Fishbag in there because back in there because of what he did as a player, but what he does as a representative for Auburn off the court and his commentating and stuff like that. Like he's probably not a top 5, but he's definitely a top 10 Auburn basketball person for me in that regard. So if we're talking about players, it's a different conversation. If we're talking about just who's related to basketball, Sonny Smith's going to be in that because Sonny Smith is a gem of a human being. And if you ever say a cross word about Sonny Smith, I might fight you, just to be honest, because that man is one of the most lovely individuals and he's a heck of a basketball coach and he is just funny as all get out. I love me some funny Sonny on the radio. And I think most people feel that way about him. So anyway, I went on a long rant about that just because you said the word Jalen. We were talking about earlier in the show, Brian Harsin mentioned him. He's going after the New Mexico State job. Austin wrote during that time that I think it's the New Mexico job. They filled that position with Bronco Mendenhall. Look, Harsin's going to get a job at some point. Good luck to him and to the people that get him. That's all I got to say. And I will still maintain that Brian Harsin, this is an unpopular thing. I get it. This is going to rev up the anonymous accounts that get to say things with no consequences. I don't fault everything that happened during Brian Harsin's tenure to Brian Harsin. Some of it I do, but I think he was not given everything he needed to succeed. But if he was as good as advertised, some of that wouldn't have mattered. It can work both ways. Both things can coexist together. WT says you have to put Harper and Brown in there, those threes during the Final Four run. Yeah, look, if we're having a conversation about your top basketball players or basketball entities for Auburn and its history, it's so easy to go the Harpers and the Browns. I would probably go Brown more than Harper because Bryce was literally here during some of the worst times and the best times. I think Bryce Brown is definitely in my top 10 too. But you got to be something kind of special. For a long time, Horace Spencer, and he's still up there. He's probably eking out of the top 5 at this point. I love me some Agent Zero. Jalen is probably never going to leave from that top 3 list at this point. And that'll be we should do a show about that at some point in the future. If you have final comments, questions, discussions. Oh, Brad, I missed this earlier. Oh, he's saying statue when we were talking about a Cliff Ellis. I don't know if Cliff Ellis deserves a statue. Bruce will get a statue at some point. If we're going to have the conversation about Auburn basketball statues, right now, I think the most deserving of that is either Ruthie Bolton or Vicky Orr. And having that on the opposite, the other side of the doorway where Charles is, his statue is, I think would be a good mirror image of each other and the importance for both men's and women's basketball. But I think you could, Sonny, I think I'd have to do some more digging into where you do want to be very careful when you talk about statues. You don't want to just give them away, just like you don't want to just retire anybody's number. You want to make sure that it's such a high honor. Charles clearly earned that. And not to say that nobody else hasn't, even a Coach Sonny Smith hasn't earned something like that, but you want to save that for the most important of things. And I love Coach Cliff Ellis. I just don't know if I'd put him up there. Bruce will get his statue one day because he will be the leadingest coach in Auburn basketball history. If he, God willing, he makes it at least 1 or 2 more seasons. Vicky Orr is greater than Ruthie Bolton. I know a lot of people will switch that because of what Ruthie went through. Both women are very revered in Auburn basketball history, though. So, Mighty Ruthie, go watch that video if you haven't watched that already. All right, look, folks, we are at an hour right now, and that has been a good stream. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us. Do me a huge, huge favor. Tell a friend to join us next week, 9 Eastern time, here live for the big year-ender show as we take our Christmas and New Year's break. And when we come back to you after next week's episode, we'll get another year 2024 started, but episode 60 a week from tonight. Don't miss Wednesday. Lots to talk about. SEC schedules, a basketball game reaction show. Recruiting's going crazy right now. We are just getting started. Follow us on social media, and of course, subscribe here on YouTube, Facebook, wherever. You guys continue to be the best little family within the Auburn family, and I mean that, and appreciate you all so much. Till we talk to you again, War Eagle.